This is part 2 of the Theresa Brumble podcast because she does so much and she does it so well. This is part number 2. The first part we talked about massage and lasers, which was fantastic. Check that one out. And today we're going to talk about the other part of what you do as a career that you discovered later on in life.
Yes.
And it's amazing. Let me tell you, it's going to be a little uncomfortable because most people are uncomfortable talking about this, but we kind of ran through it in the first one, then ran out of time, so we're kind of redoing this one. And let me tell you something. If anyone's uncomfortable about talking about this, it's me. And you made it so relaxing and easy to make me kind of be comfortable with it is just proof in the pudding.
Aw,
Yeah.
thanks.
So
Thank you.
here's Theresa. Let's talk
Hi.
about what she does.
Well, I am an end-of-life doula or a death doula, and how it started, I guess you could say that I felt very comfortable around death and dying. You know, it started with my mother's father dying, and I don't think we were allowed to go to the funeral. Like, I think that was typical when you were young.
yeah.
You know, you're not allowed
Shelter
to go.
them.
No kids are allowed at the funeral, you know. And back in the day, people would die at home with the family and the kids and everybody, and they would all have a job. And, you know, and now, you know, we don't do that, you know.
Yeah.
So, and then it started, and then it was my dad's father. He passed away, and I remember because I was in the hospital with him, and I was probably in my early 20s. And I remember being at the hospital and holding his hand and just being comfortable being there. And I got into work, you know, I'm in medical field, you know, I did radiology for 20 years and being there with people that were dying. I mean, they had cancer, you know, some of them were scared to death.
Yeah.
And some of them would come in with this chipper attitude, you know, and, you know, I would start their IV and I'd make conversation with them. I just felt really comfortable. Like I wanted to make them happy. I wanted to make them, you know, comfortable and not think about why they're there.
Right.
You know,
You're
and
still
that was
alive and still a person.
right, right, exactly. You're still a person. You're still alive. You still have a life to live. And so as time went on, I was in the medical field, and then I got into, you know, medical massage, and I've had that practice, and I just felt really comfortable. My mom died. She had acute myeloid leukemia, AML, and she literally like 5 months and she was gone. And I was there all the time, and we, you know, she didn't have a will. So it was like we sat down and, you know, my brothers and we all sat down with mom in the hospital and we planned out where she wanted everything. What did she want us to do with her things? And then she had the advance directive. She never had an advance directive. She didn't have a living will. She didn't have all these things that she needed for when the end came. And I remember getting a call from the hospital, and they said, "Oh, there's nothing more we can do for your mom." But they never mentioned hospice. And so it was like the last minute we get hospice in there, but they're in and out.
Yeah.
You know, so as an end of life doula, you're complementing and you're complementary to hospice and palliative care. You're coming in and you can spend more time with a client. Mostly what I do now is volunteer work with hospice companies. But you're like, I'll sit vigil. I'm a healing touch practitioner. So I do healing touch and I clear their energy. I do some massage. And so as an end of life doula, and then I went through my stepmother dying and what, you know, and I just felt comfortable. So as an end of life doula, my goal and my dream, honestly, is to talk to people when they're first diagnosed with a terminal illness, when there's still, you know, time to plan and to really sit down and find out what are your fears. You know, what is it that you're afraid of? Are you afraid of dying in pain? Are you afraid that it's really like going to be scary? And then, you know, leaving a legacy. What legacy do you want to leave? Is it because you have a brand new, you know, car that's cost you an arm and a leg and that you're making six figures? Or is it because you want to leave these little letters or notes to your loved ones before you go? Maybe you're not going to be there for their wedding, or maybe you're not going to be there for their first birth, and you want to write a letter to them. You want in your, I like recording now, because you can record them and have their voice and their face, and and then you can give that to them. So as an end-of-life doula, my heart and my soul, it's a non-medical, compassionate, I call it emotional and spiritual support, and it complements palliative care and hospice.
And a lot of people, when they get that diagnosis, that's like a stab in the heart. Like, it doesn't matter how comfortable you are or how confident you are, or how healthy you are. You get that, and it's almost like your legs get taken out from under you. And anxiety does what to the body? It's just going to perpetuate bad things. So if you have a cancer, you just fed it just with anxiety. So like you said, getting to people early is probably better in the long run, because you don't start a downward spiral.
Exactly. I mean, there's all kinds of things. There's anticipatory grief, and that's not just for the person dying. It's for the family. But the one thing that I really want to drive home is we're all going to die. We're not getting out of here alive.
It's the only certainty.
Right? We're born, it's like bookends. We're born and we die. And your life experience in between is what makes you and leaves your legacy, and what is your life is all about. It's that lived experience. And what is it when you're dying that you want people to remember you by? Is it,
it's
your job?
Somebody had said on your gravestone they have a lot of information, like your name, sometimes your family members, the year you were born, the year you would die, but your entire life is summed up with the dash.
Yeah, my girlfriend just said that to me today. She's like, it's the dash. What's the dash?
What's your dash? But your dash isn't over until it's over, so keep filling it. But I like how you said to bring in the family. How much do you find that the family is important, or how much do they kind of shun away from it, that they need your service more than the person with the diagnosis?
It all depends. I mean, I have a couple of I have a lot of stories, experiences that, I had one woman, I knew she was dying. I would go in, I'd massage her feet, we'd talk a little bit, and the daughter and the son were like, oh, she's not going anywhere. Oh, no, she doesn't want that. Oh, no, she's, and they were in such denial, and I felt so bad because I knew, and she knew she was going. And it was hard, because I would try to talk to them and see, what are you afraid of? She's not going to be in pain. Like, the body knows how to die. The body will start to sleep more. So at the end, there's like I don't want to say it's a routine thing that happens, but it is. The body will start to shut down, so that you'll get tired all the time, and you start to sleep more. And then you may, your organs may start to shut down, so you don't want to eat or drink. And people are forcing people to eat and drink, and it's like, no.
You need your nutrition and health to stay healthy. No, my body knows.
Yes. And so we need to honor that. We need to honor the process by allowing people to say, oh, okay, let me know when you want to have something to eat or drink, not forcing them. And then what happens is their breath starts to change, and you'll start to notice that they are taking longer pauses in between their breath. And they might take a breath in or breath out, and then not another breath in, and that's when there's long pauses where, you're like, are you going to say, are you going to breathe again? And you're like, I don't know, and then that they've gone. But it's a very peaceful time, they're not in pain. And that's where hospice comes in, and that's where a lot of what I do as well comes in. Is hospice is there to make sure that you have the quality of life that you need at the end. So you're not in pain. They're controlling all that with medicine. You can ask for more medicine or less medicine, whatever you want at the time. I had one woman didn't want morphine. And she would reach up and she'd come down. And I had just cleared her energy, and she'd reach up again and she'd come back down. I said, you're just not ready to go yet, are
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
And she was like, no, I'm not ready. And it was just funny because she's really
Yeah.
answering me,
Yeah. Yeah.
And I told her daughter, I said, I don't think she's going to make it through the night. And she
Mhm.
goes, well, my brother's coming tomorrow. And I looked at her and I said, I don't think she's waiting for
Yeah.
your brother.
Yeah.
And so I asked her, I said, so are you hanging on for your son to come?
Mhm.
She's like, no, everybody has their own agenda. And I just laughed. I was like,
Matter
oh,
of fact about it.
yeah, it was just like, no,
Yeah.
I'm going to go when I'm ready. And
Yeah.
she wound up dying in her sleep. And, I have a lot of stories like that,
Mhm.
and so,
What's the most common story for most people? Obviously not accidents and things like that,
right,
but
right.
for most people who move on, what's the common things that they say they feel, they see,
They see.
they see?
So it's, there's a book out. It's called, oh my gosh, Trips. I'm not going to remember this. Visions, Trips, and something else. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We'll look it up.
Yeah, I have it on my Audible, and they talk about visions. So every person sees their loved ones that have passed before them. And you'll have nurses and people say, oh no, they're just hallucinating. They're not getting enough oxygen. That's not the case. They are actually seeing their
Right.
loved ones.
Right.
And they're happy because the loved ones are reassuring them and sending all this unconditional love to them and literally saying to them, we'll get you. We'll hold you. We'll walk you home. And they'll say, like, they see them at their end of their bed or they've seen them in their dreams. And so those are the visions. And the trips are like where they literally feel like they're taking a trip somewhere and they're going somewhere. And they are in their unconscious. They're going to different places with these loved ones. And so that's very, very common. That probably is the most common thing is the visions. And again, they're not hallucinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can't be that same thing for everyone. There has to be some kind of reality check to it
Yeah.
somewhere if
Yeah.
every human has it. And I'm sure you haven't done this in China and Russia and South Africa and things like that. So, but I'm
No.
sure they have the same experiences if you've seen that,
Yeah.
widespread here and it's talked about.
Oh yeah. And then you have the people who have had near death experiences. To me, that has helped me be more clear on where I might be going. For some people, they don't believe in it, and that's okay. I meet people where they are. If they're this religion and I'm not that religion, I will learn about that religion to help them where whatever they need for their passing. I was born and raised Catholic. I still remembered the Our Fathers and the Hail Marys. So after I cleared the energy for this one woman, I was giving her, I was saying, the rosary with her. And there was other people that didn't believe in any of that. And I just brought in all my crystals, laid them all over him, and I cleared his energy. And I went up to his ear and I was like, all right, Robert, you can go anytime you're ready. And he died like the next day. And I remember, I would say the other common things would be just they know that they're dying and they know that their body is doing what it's supposed to do. So they know, even if they're unconscious, and everybody around them doesn't really understand that. So those two things is the visions and the body knowing how to die, I would say are the most common that I've seen. The one thing that I want to really say that's really important to me and to the loved ones that are dying is you have this whole life and there's so many things that mean the world to you, like they hit your heart really deeply.
They're relevant, yeah.
And that's what they want to express. They don't want to worry about what this one's doing and what that one's doing. And when you come into somebody's home or into the hospital or hospice or assisted living and your loved one is dying, they just want you to know that you love them and that they're going to be okay and that you're going to be okay. And I always tell people, make sure, like the guy Robert, the wife said to me, I don't think it's going to be much longer. And I said, I don't either. How do you feel about that? And she goes, I don't want to see him suffer anymore. And I said, you need to let him know
that. Yeah.
that you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And she says, really? And I said, yes, because hearing is the last sense that goes.
Okay.
So somebody might be unconscious.
Right.
And you might think that they can't hear. They can hear you. So
it's funny you say that. When my grandfather died, I showed up at the hospital. He had a lot of heart issues and diabetes, things like that. And we went in, and my uncle looked at me, being the only one in the medical field. Mm-hmm. Physical therapy is not really medical, but at least I have more sense than he did. And he said to me, he said, do you think he can hear me? I said, yeah, watch this. And I went over to him. I said, watch the heart rate monitor. And I leaned in and I whispered some words to him. And I came back. I said, what did it do? He goes, it went up. He was so excited. I go, now get over there and tell him what you got to tell him.
Yeah.
And he went over and he did what he had to say. And that was peaceful for him. And then, the next day he was gone.
Yeah.
But it was almost as if he waited for all of us to show up and say what we had to say, which is exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Say your piece so they know you're okay.
Yes.
Because sometimes they're going to hold on thinking you're not okay yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's important.
And to me, this is a sacred time.
Mm-hmm.
This is a sacred time, and we prepare for birth.
As you can say, we spend so much time worrying about birth and leading up to birth and all this stuff for birth and prenatal. And then we just let you just drop off the earth? Like,
could you imagine if you went to the doctor when you were pregnant and they said, oh, you were diagnosed with pregnancy. We're going to just let you be. We're going to leave you alone. And then you start getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you go into the doctor and you're like, well, there's nothing
more we can do. Go home and deal with it. Yeah.
It's like, no, you prepare. You prepare for at least 9 months. Sometimes you prepare before.
Longer, yeah.
And you have a room for the baby, and you have clothes, and you have the whole gamut of things that you do before a baby is born. We are all going to die. Why would you not want to plan for the end of life? Mm-hmm. It is a sacred time. You could have a ritual. You could have, I want to have a living funeral. Like, people are like, I don't know, what is that? And I'm like, it's a big party.
Yeah.
It's a big party where you bring all your loved ones like you would at a funeral, and you talk about all the things that you love about that person.
Yeah.
Or talk about the things that bother you about that person. Like, you really pissed me off that day that I don't know.
You owe me $20, you son of a bitch.
Right? And it's like, okay, here's your $20. Now we're good, you know? And then you can die with your $20 and you're good. It's not on your conscience.
Yeah.
But it's a sacred time. Mm-hmm. And the more we can look at it as a sacred time, and the more we can talk about it and be comfortable with it, we can start living our life more.
Yeah.
We can start healing and mending relationships. We can start building legacy projects. We can take trips that we've never, and it doesn't have to be terminal. Like, and I said this, I think the last time we were doing this podcast, I said, I don't want to die tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I know that I lived a really full life.
Right.
I have traveled.
Right.
People would say to me, you don't have any money. How are you traveling? I'm like, I don't care. I'll sleep in a tent.
Yeah.
I'm traveling. Like, I am not going to stop my world because of money or because, this one said I can't do it or this. I want to live my life fully now so that when I am dead or dying or something happens to me, I know I lived a good life.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I think, they said most people's biggest regret on their deathbed is not living life to the fullest. Because I'm pretty sure no one ever said, I wish I answered more emails at work. It doesn't happen.
I wish I bought that car. I wish
Nope,
I had
never the answer.
This amount of money in the bank.
Yep. It's always about, again, making that dash more than you can fit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, has there been anybody that you've come across that has a completely different thought of dying that you were like, oh, I never thought of it that way?
Oh, that's a question.
Because I know with religions, I grew up Catholic. I call myself a retired Catholic because I live the spirituality, but I don't follow the ritual practice of the church anymore. But I know a lot of, Buddhist and Zen kind of things are like, no, it just is. So what are you even worried about the end part for?
I mean, nothing surprises me. I guess I should start there. I love all the different thought processes on what people believe in when they die. I think there's a little bit of all of it that comes together. I think that whatever we envision as our heaven is what happens for us, because that's in our
That's our
subconscious.
consciousness. Yeah.
That's our that level of consciousness. And that brings me to, psychedelics. So I became a psychedelic coach. And when I was in class, I remember them saying that one psilocybin journey of mushrooms at the end of life literally reduces end of life anxiety and depression by 80%.
That's a lot.
80%.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, I've been wanting to be a death doula. Like, what if I could combine the two and be able to take somebody on a trip somewhere where it's legal and do a ceremony with them so that they aren't anxious, so they aren't dealing with this. There's, I have such a vast array of people in my groups that have done this work with people dying, and I'm like, oh my gosh, can I just come sit with you?
Yeah.
Because I know from my own experience working with psychedelics for therapy that the mystical experiences that I have been life-changing for me, that I am not afraid to die.
Yeah.
Like, I believe we're going home. Ram Dass says we're walking each other home, but I do believe that we're going home to unconditional love. And I believe that when we come into this meat suit, and we decide to be in Earth School, that we're here to learn how to love unconditionally. And there's so much humanness, ego,
Right.
all of this stuff. That I was listening to End of Life Doula. I was listening to a bunch of TED Talks, and the woman said, you're in a car and you're driving, your ego's driving, your soul is over here, and your life is in the back seat. It's like, that's not the way it should be.
Yeah.
Your soul should be driving.
Yeah.
Your life should be shotgun
and
your ego in the back,
Exactly.
And once we are able to drop that, we all have an ego to protect us, right? That's why our ego happens. Whatever happens growing up, our ego is there to keep us safe. And that's okay. But let's drop the ego and remember that this is a sacred life. This is a sacred time. And let's celebrate it and help the person cross over with peace instead of anxiety, because everybody else around them is anxious.
Yeah.
That's just
So with the psychedelics, what do you think is the reason behind reducing that anxiety? Does it give them the vision that they've always believed in and makes it feel like it's more real? Or is it showing them something they never even thought of and dreamed about, and they kind of go, oh, yeah, that's what this is all about?
I can speak from my experience, but I can also say that my take on it, and I've never really heard this from anybody. It was just something that I came up with. We use 10% of our brain. Where is the other 90%? Right? It's a subconscious. It's a consciousness that we don't know. I believe when we take a psychedelic, we go into a level of consciousness that's in our brain that we had never experienced, because we can't. We can't experience that here on Earth because we have to be conscious. Right? So when we sleep, we dream. We're going into another consciousness. Astral projection. Some people believe in astral projection. I've never been able to do it, except for on a psychedelic, where I am actually witnessing myself doing something, which I thought was totally amazing.
Body experience.
But the feeling when you're in that state is unconditional love. Like, at one point, I had the biggest smile on my face, and I'm just like, oh my God, this feels so good. Like, why would I not want to feel this unconditional love? And so I believe that that's my take on it, is the unconditional love. Don't get me wrong, you may be in a psychedelic trip and you're doing it for healing, which is what I did at the beginning. And I had moments where I was crying, or had
Yeah.
issues that things came up that I needed to release out of
Resolve.
my body. You work with the body. Fascia has more sensory neurons than
Yeah.
our skin.
Yeah.
We're holding emotion.
Yeah.
So why would you want to be on your deathbed holding that
Holding it.
emotion?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to me, it's a healing process that happens before you're on your deathbed.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's helped me get to the point where I say, okay, if I go, I go. Do I want to
Yeah.
go? No,
Yeah, no,
I want to.
yeah.
I
And
don't.
that's
I want to see my son.
that's always been
get
my
married.
biggest fear is, like, I read a book, the Jack Reacher character, and his mom said, life is a movie that you have to leave before it's over. I never like leaving a movie before it's
Right?
over, but you know what? No matter when you go, it's never over. So,
Right.
you're going to have to learn to accept that, and that's a tough pill for me to swallow, and that's why I have such a struggle with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I think the psychedelics open up your brain, and like you said, drop the ego. And when you drop the ego, you see how amazing it is. Our brains literally are designed to scan out over 99% of the information that comes in.
Yeah.
Our eyes can't even see beyond the visible spectrum. So right off the bat, you're getting just a minuscule amount of information. And I think our brains pick it up. They're like an antenna.
Right.
But you have no way of knowing how to access it. And I think they're showing this a lot with the traumas and PTSD and all that stuff, that psychedelics open that brain up, and then you realize that this is just an insignificant amount of life. There's so much more beyond what we're living in our meat suits.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, we have to get through it.
That's a beautiful way to put it. The one thing that I remember from watching near-death experience books and shows and whatever, documentaries, there's quite a few of them out there, is they would say that the music and the colors that they see once they go through their tunnel, that they come out to, is colors and music that you could never even imagine on Earth. And when you're in a psychedelic experience, and I've experienced this, the colors are so vivid. And then when you come out of it, and you go out into the world, you see more color.
You pick up
the detail in like I could be walking in the woods and on a hike, and I can see the details in a leaf, just because I've opened that part of my brain and that consciousness to see and to connect more with nature.
Yeah.
And so that you're absolutely right. How can our brain do that in the conscious state that we're in? It can't. There's no way.
Because we're not using enough of it, and we don't practice enough of it.
I think you had somebody on that does breath work.
Yes.
So, Barb. So when you're doing breath work, you actually activate the natural DMT in your brain. Well, DMT is a psychedelic.
Yep.
And you can activate that DMT in your brain with the psychedelic or with breath work. Some people don't. Some people are afraid. We had the whole DARE. And I'm not going to get into that, but we had
reefer madness.
We had Nixon decided that we weren't going to have psychedelics because nobody wanted to go to war.
Right.
Everybody was feeling love.
But she did it. All the hippies. How are we going to make money as a government if we're not fighting people?
Right.
Yeah.
And so they made it illegal. And MDMA was used for couples counseling, because when you use, and it's really an amazing, it's not considered a psychedelic, but it was used for couples counseling, because when both people take MDMA, you speak your truth. There is no filter. It bypasses the amygdala. It bypasses the fear center in the brain.
Right.
So you speak your truth, and you're both speaking your truth. So all of it gets out.
It's out.
I know one of my teachers would do it like every so many months. Him and his wife would get together, and they would both do MDMA and have a conversation, and they were fine. And I was like, that's why it was used in couples counseling.
Couple counseling, yeah.
And then they made it illegal.
And it's funny because DMT, cannabidiols, they're all naturally made in the body, and there's receptors in the body. So how can you even think as an agency that we're going to make it illegal to do for something that's already in your body?
Right.
That's just the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of.
Right. And it's nature. And the one thing in particular, about psilocybin is that it has no addictive properties. They have proven that.
Yes.
You could take, 20 grams of mushrooms. You might have
trip
a
your ass
really
off.
crazy trip, but you're not going to die.
Yeah.
There's no mortality
Yeah.
rate.
It's the same thing with marijuana. I don't think anyone has ever overdosed on weed.
No, but that would give you a psychedelic experience.
Yes, you can.
That's when it turns into a psychedelic experience, is when you take too much.
Yeah.
But it's not going to kill you.
Yeah.
And so New Jersey's on the cusp. I was part of the coalition to legalize psilocybin in New Jersey, and it passed Senate committee. We were literally waiting for the signature from Murphy, and he never signed it. So
another thing that we'll call him a jerk for doing. Thank you very much.
We're on the path again, and so there is another bill in New Jersey. So we're hoping for 2026, and then we'll have more of like a service center. I know a lot of people. When they are going through chemo, or they're getting or they've been diagnosed with a terminal illness, they may be a little resistant to try this in just a regular setting. They might want to be in a service center, and so I get that. That makes sense, and I respect that.
Sure.
But the work that, it's a sacred time for me as well, and it's a sacred journey that you're going to take. And so when I work with people, it's a sacred journey. It's not a trip. It's not tripping. It's not a party. We're not. That's not what you're doing it for. No, it's for working through any blocks that you may have.
Just like anything, there's a medical use for it, and then there's an abuse for it. So speaking of like organizations and bigger facilities, what's some of the pushback you get from facilities about doing what you do?
As an end-of-life doula.
Yeah.
So as an end-of-life doula, the one pushback and it happened when I first became a doula. I went to all the assisted livings in the area. I went to the senior centers, and they were like, we don't want to talk about death and dying. We're here to help people prolong their life. And I'm like, yeah, but if you understand and you talk about death and dying, it actually extends your life.
Extends your life, improves your quality, it does all of it.
Right. Yeah. Right. So that was major pushback for me. And it really, I wound up taking a year off of not doing it. I still volunteered. I didn't volunteer as much with hospice just because I was working more at my office. And it's really where I want to be. So we have the death deck. So this is a fun game. And this is Tails. So I bought Tails to kind of do this with my dad. And so we'll go out and I'll be like, okay, Dad, pick a couple of cards and let's talk about it. And I'll write it in a journal. I haven't done it in a little while, but this is something we do. So this is your beginning.
Beginning.
You can pick.
Okay. Beginning,
and then in the middle there'll be midlife, and then end, or vice versa. It might be, I don't know if I have them in the right
order. Yeah.
So we're gonna play a little game, not a game, but this is something that you could write down and keep for yourself. So.
Okay, early life.
So your question.
Where did you go to elementary school? Washington Street School in West Orange.
Okay. So that would be something that maybe your kids don't know, and then you could go further and do all your schooling.
Right.
And now your kids
who my
know.
teachers were for the grades.
Who was your favorite teacher?
First kiss or first boyfriend or girlfriend kind of thing.
Right.
All that stuff. Yeah.
And all that can be written down as your tale or your story. Nice. And then you have.
Midlife. Let's see. What did you do in your professional career? Which version?
Well, there you go.
But like you, I continually keep changing what I'm doing because I keep seeing things that I enjoy that is needed and things like that. So I started on Wall Street.
And I didn't
went to school for business because I was good with numbers, and then went, you guys are nuts and make 2 and 2 add up to 5. I'm not doing it. I'm a helper. I'm a healer. Kind of. I feel that. Yeah. So I went to physical therapy school. Then I do a hyperbaric chamber. Now I'm doing the podcast to kind of say, look, people need this information.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
All right. And later life and reflection. At my funeral, I hope to be described as not an ass.
And so this is what we do. So I
That's
bought
great.
these, and we go
Yeah.
through my dad's life, and it's for anybody, but I like to bring these, like this would be something that I would bring, and I usually have people pick from here, and then I have people pick from the death
Oh,
deck.
death deck. This is
This
scary.
is, and you have to have a little sense of humor
Okay.
on this one.
All right, let's see what the death deck says. What do you believe happens when you die?
Oh.
A, it's either heaven or hell, depending. B, your soul spends a little time in bliss, then you reincarnate. Or C, total blackout, that's all, folks. So it's funny, being raised Catholic, there's heaven and hell, and you got to be good or you're going to the bad place, which is funny, the TV show, The Good Place.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a good one.
That is a good one.
But I also did read a lot of religions. I've studied some Buddhism, some Taoism, Zen. I don't know. I try to think to where was I before I was born, and there's just nothing there. So my thought is that there's nothing there when you go. But I think this is a heck of a lot of consciousness to just disappear. Just like I think it's a lot of empty universe to have no other life forms in it. Like it's just
Yeah, that I agree.
my understanding is I don't know.
Nobody does.
Because no one does, and I don't know. And I don't know that I want to put a thought on it to trap myself. Because my whole life is just have ideas and let them change and flourish as information comes in. And knowing that I can't take but so much information because my brain can't handle it, then I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I believe that we're energy, and energy
Correct.
never dies.
Correct.
And so I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah.
But if I had the vision in my head of where I could imagine, like, when we do meditation, everybody's like, where's your happy place? And I'm like, well, it's a big field of wildflowers, and it's a waterfall, and there's palm trees, and it's beautiful and warm and sunny. And there's a pool at the bottom of the waterfall, and that's where I'm going to be.
That's right.
And so, I don't know.
Yeah.
I love, that's why I love the near-death experiences, because the near-death experiences, they all had a different situation that came up. And some of it was similar and some of it wasn't. And, it made me think a little bit more about, we'd never had near-death experiences until we had CPR. And so there's a movie, it was in movie theaters a couple of years ago. It was called After Death. And it's a great movie. Like, if you just want to, get a little idea of like what near-death experiences are about, it's all about near-death experiences. And, there were people that were bad, and they were on the show, and they had a rough time when they crossed over. And I was like, whoa, like that's the first time I've ever
Heard somebody have
had a bad
Yeah.
time. And as they really started, it was interesting because as they started to like pray or like think happy thoughts or whatever, or say they were sorry for what they did, then they saw the light. And it was very interesting. So there was a few people in that movie that it talked about that.
Bad.
And I think it's good for people to, especially people who aren't really good people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if you live through your heart and everything you do is through your heart, then are we going to make mistakes? Yes, we're human.
Sure.
Are you sorry for the mistake you made? Then okay. Then
Yeah.
there's
now
forgiveness.
that you know and you understand.
Right. You do better.
I wouldn't have done that. My bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I believe that I think that's why people have so much fear at the end of life, because maybe they did things that weren't so great.
And they don't want to admit to them.
Right.
For fear
Or
of
they would
ego
never-
destruction.
They would never talk about that.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good idea that you get it all out. You talk about it. What are your regrets? What are the things that you want to leave behind? What are things that you've done that you're not happy of? Like, get it all out. Let it go. There's one near-death experience, an Indian woman. She had stage 4 cancer. I can't remember what the primary was. And she was dying. She was in the hospital and she was dying. And she said, I was in a coma, and I went wherever, and her dead father was there and told her, "You worry too much. You worry about everything. You worry about things that you have no control over." And he was like, "It's not your time. You're not staying here with me." She's like, "No, I don't want to leave you. Like, I want to stay here with you." And he said, "No, you have work to do." And she went back. She woke up, I don't know how many days later. She had no cancer. This is and I hate that I don't
Yeah,
remember her name,
that's all right.
but we can find her
Look
name.
it up. Yep.
Yeah, we can look it up and put it in your notes. And she had no cancer, and she lives to talk about it. And she has all the medical records.
It's documented.
It's all documented. It's not like it's made up. And she came back and she tells her story. And it's like, do you want to have that? I really believe a lot of sickness and illness, even pain.
Yeah.
I have people with chronic pain are holding on
Right.
to something.
Well, you know that with the massage part of what you do, how much that release comes out. People will cry, they'll scream. We talked about that, and it's.
Yeah.
I think when I think of death and think of the religions that think of reincarnation, things like that, we break an atom in its nuclear energy release, which means atoms don't break apart normally.
Right.
So when you die, it has to get recycled somehow.
Right.
And there are plenty of stories of people who get organ transplants and all of a sudden they crave McDonald's French fries because that's what that person used to eat, or they have these emotions and feelings and that's what those body parts have. They hold on to memories and emotions and thoughts, and people can connect to them when they physically get connected to them.
Yeah.
So there has to be some kind of part of that, but I don't think we're built to be a physical body. I think we're built to be an emotional body.
Oh, yeah.
But we are taught from day one, put that down. Yeah. Don't do that.
Don't cry.
Don't cry. Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, be a tough guy. You got hit in the chin. Get up, rub some dirt on it. Let's go. Especially
for a
guys.
man.
Yeah, boys. Like, forget it. There's no emotions. And then me having a father who was from Vietnam, he didn't talk at all, let alone talk about emotions.
Yep.
So it's very hard to even hear him talk about emotions because it's just not common. And I think that's one of the things we need to also let go of is allow people to express an emotion when they typically don't.
Yeah.
Because they have to get that stuff out.
Yeah. I mean, I work with a lot of people that have neck problems. And I'm like, where are you not speaking your truth?
Yeah. That's the chakra.
Stress.
Yep. That's the
That's
chakra
your throat
for the
chakra,
yep.
right?
Yep.
And they're like, how do you know that? And I'm like, well, it's your throat chakra. That's the energy center.
I can feel it.
I mean, I'm not like, I don't practice one thing. I believe that every different religion and every different
modality.
modality. Thank you.
Health work. Yep.
It literally is for us to take in and just look at it. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't work for you, leave it alone. But for me, with what I do, if I'm working on somebody, like we talked about this in the other podcast, if it's your right side, that's your father's side. That's, if it's your left side, it's your mother's side, it's your feminine side. Like, this is your giving. Like, this is your giving side, this is your receiving side. Do you have problems? Do you give too much, or are you not receiving what you need? So learning all that and talking with people at end of life, you can help them situate and figure out where things might have went wrong. There was I've been like just listening to TED Talks and watching like all these shows on end of life. And people probably think I'm morbid, but the one was the End of Life Doula came in. The woman had ALS. So that's
very difficult.
That's a very difficult disease. And she was young. She had 3 kids. And and if I cry, I'm sorry. Her only request was to be able to dance with her kids at their wedding.
Aww.
Right? So the End of Life Doula rented a dance hall. And she danced
held her up
with every single one. No, she was able to walk at this time.
Oh, okay.
She danced with every single one of her kids and her husband. And then she left boxes for each of the kids, letters and cards for like all their birthdays. She would have like pictures, like 48, 50 pictures. And this was when she could still write. And she would take the picture and she'd write on the back, this is how I felt, this is what happened. Like, you know what I mean? Like it hits home, like it hits your heart because she's not going to be there for those milestones.
Those moments, yeah.
So why wouldn't you want to do that?
Yeah.
Why would you wait until
why
the
wait
end
until you can't? Yeah.
and say, oh, I'm really going to miss like not seeing your first baby? Like, okay, then write a letter, make a video.
Yeah.
Like these are the
Share
legacy.
the wisdom that you
Share
have.
the wisdom. These are the legacy projects that I really am passionate about. And I think that as an end of life doula, I love being able to clear someone's energy and tell them they're okay to go and, you know, hold their hand as they're dying. I love that part. Sitting vigil is amazing. I love it. I think it's such like I said before, sacred time.
Yeah.
But what about all that time before?
Yeah.
Like I want you to and my, like if you were to hire me, I will work with you. Like it's not about the money for me.
Right. Right.
Like it's about being there for you and doing all the things that you want and need done before you die, so you're prepared.
So you're ready. Yeah.
And then you're teaching your kids to die
Right.
with dignity, right? To die
that's I think that's the thing you said. You know, we were sheltered from it when we were kids, so we have no idea how to do it. And then by the time you're 20 and the first grandparent dies, if you're lucky, you don't have no clue how to deal with that.
Exactly.
And your brain has already shut down its development, so you almost don't even have a way to develop a piece of it to deal with that.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
not that you want a child to be exposed to death constantly. That's probably not so great
constantly.
either.
No.
But you know, seeing it in a positive way would be so much more beneficial.
And that's the way it used to be.
Yeah.
You know, you died at home and everybody helped to get the body ready and you went in a pine box. I mean, that's the other thing. Like we have, I think we have 1 or 2 green burial sites where you can go in a pine box and your body will be wrapped and you will decompose into the earth with the pine box and grass will grow over top of you. You know, I think there are a lot of funeral homes that do really well and help a lot of people, but it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't have that kind of money.
Yeah.
And so it's really important for people to understand that you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
You don't have to go that route.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be embalmed.
Right.
You don't have to, you can do whatever it is that you want with your body. If you want your body to decompose in the earth, then you want to look into a green burial.
Yeah.
You know, and that's...
And it's information.
Right.
How do you make a choice on something you don't have information on? Or worse, how do I make a choice for a significant other that never expressed that choice?
Right.
Now I have to decide. And what if the decision I make makes the kids mad? Because one kid thinks one way, one kid thinks another way. Now you just made them all mad and bitter and angry because no one spoke up.
Well, I made sure with my mom, and it was, we were never told that she should go on hospice. I thought that was very odd. So her oxygen levels went down really low. I brought her to the hospital. I made her a DNR and a DNI. Do not resuscitate, do not intubate. And so I'm like, I had worked at the hospital, so I called them. I knew they got her in the back door. She got a blood transfusion because we wanted to keep her alive a little longer. And I remember saying, we don't have the will notarized. So she came home from the hospital on a Tuesday morning, I believe it was, or Tuesday afternoon. Wednesday we had Monday she came home. Tuesday we had whatever, the notary come, the lawyer come. We had it all notarized. And the next day was Thursday. It was Thursday. And she wanted to plan her own funeral. And I remember the funeral director came and she was with it. Mom was in the bedroom. Mom never had pain, which thank God.
Yeah.
She smiled the whole time. She spent her last dime on new teeth. Like there was no money left in her retirement because she got new teeth.
Good for her.
And the whole time she was dying, she was smiling. I mean, I have a picture of her. I'll send it to you if you want to like
sure.
show it.
Sure.
And she was smiling the whole time. And so the funeral home comes in, and we're going over what she wants. And she goes, "Your mom doesn't have any hair. Does she want a wig?" I said, "Ma, she wants to know if you want a wig." And she's like, "No, I don't want a wig." She goes, "Just make sure my makeup looks good." You got it, whatever you want. And literally, she left, and the hospice nurse came in, and she said to me, "You need to give your mom the morphine." I said, "Why do I have to give her the morphine? I thought you gave her the morphine."
Yeah.
And she's like, "No." She's like, "It has to be a family member." And I was like, and she goes, "And you're the only one in the medical field. Radiology."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah. So here I am. And I was like, "Well, you need to tell my family that I'm not killing mom by giving her morphine."
Yeah.
And so she goes, "All right, I'll talk to the family." And I was like, "Okay." And we gave her the morphine, and it was 12, like 22 or something. She took her last breath. And it was, we were all there, you know. Was it sad? Yeah, oh God.
Sure.
I mean, I still talk to her. Like, and I say that to people, like, before somebody dies, make a plan. Like, what sign are you going to send me? What sign are you going to send me?
There's no chemtrails in heaven.
Are you going to send me a feather? Are you going to send me a dime? Are you going to send me a cardinal? Like, how do I know it's you? So every time I find a white feather, I know it's my mom. And it's very sporadic.
Yeah.
Like, people are like,
weird
"Oh, well."
places. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not always around your pillow where the feathers exist.
Yeah, New Year's Day, I'm doing polar bear plunge, and there's a feather sticking straight up out of the sand. And I was like, "Oh, good, Mom's here to watch."
Come on in. Yeah.
So,
That's great.
make that plan with her or him before they die, because they do. I have a girlfriend, her mom was dying, and she's the one I was talking about earlier, and we were, we had music and everything playing, and I was just talking to her on my way here, and she goes, "Well, tell them the story about how, like, you were meditating on my front porch, and I'm taking my time to go to the hospital because I didn't want to go."
Right.
And she's like, "And you were out meditating, and next thing I know, I get the call that she died." And I said, "Because she didn't want you there.
Yeah.
She wanted to make sure that you remembered her from the night before, when we were all having a little spread and listening to her favorite music, and I'm clearing her energy. That's what she wanted you to remember." But she has a light that goes on in her house. That is
just randomly turns on.
And she's like, and I know that that's Mom saying she gets it now. She didn't get it before. Yeah. She gets it now. And
That's
so
great.
I just think it's a good thing to have. Like, when my grandmother died, I remember I saw a psychic, and she was a psychic medium, and I remember going to her, and she said, "There's a little lady here with a young girl, and they want to talk to you." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I was just hiring her to work in a mother's group in EHT, like to do readings. Like, I'm not.
Why are you talking
we're on
to
the
me?
phone.
Yeah. Why are you talking to
She
me?
doesn't know me, And I said, "Okay." And she said, "The little girl's holding a chrysanthemum, so you know who she is." And it was my sister, who had committed suicide at 21.
Wow.
And she was standing next to my grandmother, and she said, she goes, and I said, "That's got to be my grandmother." She goes, "A little old lady?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she said, "She gives the best hugs." And I was like, "How do you know me?"
Yeah.
Like, it was like freaking me out. I'm in CAT scan with my friend Mark, and I'm behind the CAT scan machine on the phone with her, bawling my eyes out. And she's telling me all this stuff. And I just remember, like, some people don't believe in that and mediums and everything. And I remember when my mom was sick, it was 2 weeks, and I was working at Brigada doing massage, and I couldn't look anybody in the eye. And I'm like, "I got to go home." And my friend, she said, "You need to call Lisa." And I'm like, "I'd already talked to my cousin."
Yeah, why?
Like, "No, not your cousin, the medium." And I was like, "Oh, all right." So I decided that I was going to ride my bike. I was living in Summers Point at the time. I'm riding my bike. I go to Ocean City. I sit on the beach, and I'm sitting there, and the phone rings, and it's Lisa. I had left her a message. And she calls me back. She goes, "What's going on?" And I said, "It's Mom." And she said, "She doesn't have much longer." And she goes, "And you know I don't do doom and gloom." She says, "But you need to make sure everybody says what they need to say to her because she's going to die soon." And she goes, "And you already know that." And I did. But, like, you don't want to admit your mother's dying, you know? And so I told my brothers and my cousin, and they didn't want to believe me. They were like, "No, no, no." And I was like, "Okay." And she, after Mom died, she called me again. She goes, "I just want to check on you and see how you're doing." And I was like, "I'm okay." And she said, "She still doesn't get it, just so you know." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "She's up there and she still doesn't get it." And I was like, "Oh my God, that is so my mom." And I was like, "Okay, all right."
Bathrooms.
But she told me, she's like, "What did your grandmother like?" And I said, "She loved flowers." And so she said, "Have a place in a garden somewhere where you go and sit and you talk to her." So that was the other part. So I talked to my grandmother. She was probably the most loving, unconditional loving person that was ever in my life. We were with her a lot. And, so I do that. Now something's going on in my life, like I'm coming here or whatever, and I'm like, "Mom, I'm nervous. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, I'm afraid I'm not going to find my words." And like I could just hear
lapis lazuli
yes,
for some communication.
and I could just hear her in like the back of my head, and so I think it's really important that you talk to your loved ones, even if they're not here. I think that's making a sacred spot or a time that you might want to talk to them, and mending any relationships that you have. Don't wait till you're on your deathbed to do it. And that's the other part that we didn't talk about, that I didn't bring up, is we have MAID in New Jersey, medical aid in dying. And medical aid in dying is when somebody is they have to be in the right mind. And I actually had a client this year, last year, 2025, that decided to do MAID. And it was one of my friend's grandmothers. And she called me up and she's like, "You're a death doula, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "My grandmother decided to do MAID. I don't know how I feel about it." And so I sent her a bunch of podcasts and things that she could listen to because, she's very Christian and she just didn't believe that you should do that. You should wait till God decides. But she had a debilitating disease and she didn't want to suffer and she didn't want her family to see her suffer. And so she decided. So I went over and massaged her and to give her her last massage, and we talked a little bit about it. I said, "Are you afraid?" And she said, "No." She's like, I've lived a long life. I have kids and grandkids, and they're beautiful, and I love them dearly." She goes, "But I don't want them to see me suffer." And I'll never forget it because my girlfriend called me up. She goes, "She's still, like, it's 2 hours later, and she still didn't die." And I was like, "Listen, just reassure her, hold her hand. She'll go when she's ready.
Yeah.
It'll happen."
Yeah.
But we do have that in New Jersey. There are some hospice companies that will, offer it. They'll get you connected. You have to be cleared through a couple of different doctors and counselors. I think it's three appointments that you have to be cleared to make sure you're of sound mind.
Right.
And but I think it's dying with dignity.
Yeah.
And I was kind of against it at the beginning, and then I listened to a lot of podcasts and people that have done it, had worked with people that were decided to do MAID, and I changed my perspective. It's their life. It's not anybody else's life.
Right.
It's their life.
Right.
And if they want to die with dignity, having their wits about them,
right,
and not suffering,
right,
then that's their choice.
We call it being humane to animals, but we won't be humane to humans.
Right.
It was always the thing that I said, well, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard of in my life.
Right.
But I agree. My personal choice would be, no, don't do that. But who am I to impart my thoughts and wants on someone else?
Right.
That's even more hypocritical.
And who knows how you would feel differently if you were in that same position.
Right. But I think a lot of people need information.
Yes.
And if nothing else, people should be talking to you just to understand options.
Right.
When you go to the doctor, they're supposed to tell you, here's what I would do. But here are all the other options. It's called informed consent.
Right.
Why don't we have informed consent about how we choose to die?
Yeah.
You know, it only makes sense in the logical standpoint. And again, talking to you, even playing the cards and stuff, when you're sitting with somebody like you, this is completely not anxiety to me.
Oh,
There is
that's good.
no, I don't want to talk about this. I'm sick to my stomach. I'm just spitting words at. No, I'm relaxed. This is comfortable. It's not comfortable topic,
No.
but you make it
No.
very comfortable. And I think that's part because of what else you've done in your life. And you are comfortable with this. This is what you're meant to do.
Yeah.
You know, when people do what they're meant to do, you feel it. It's genuine, it's sincere, and it's like a warming almost.
Yeah. It's definitely. I've always wanted to work around death and dying, and being in the hospital atmosphere was not what I wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
it's sterile. It's not comforting.
They're fighting to save somebody's life. That's their job. Like, I'm not saying that's bad.
Right.
I'm saying that's their job. That's what they're trained to do. But people have to understand, like, the family usually is like, oh, we'll put them on life support and do this and do that.
Yeah.
You know, but that's their job. If somebody comes in and they need to be on life support, well, you need to have, so there's a couple of things that you need to have. You need to make sure that you have your living will. What do you want? How do you want this to go while you're alive? You have to have your advance directives. What medical things do you want done for you when you die? In New Jersey, we need what's called a post form. And I'll give you the link for that. And you can, because the post form is a doctor's order saying what you want is what they need to do. Because if somebody stops breathing
Right.
and they're a DNR and a DNI and you call an ambulance, the ambulance is going
has to do what they have to do
Right.
regardless.
That's
Yeah. You called me, so I have to do it.
That's what they did to my grandmother. My grandmother was a DNR and a DNI, and they put her on a ventilator.
Yeah.
I'm grateful now. I was mad at the time because I'm like, you didn't follow
You
her
didn't follow the
orders.
instructions. Yeah.
But I got to see her
Yeah. Yeah.
before she died. So I'm not gonna. That's why you need to do all this stuff ahead of time.
Yeah.
You know, so you know. But the post form is really important in New Jersey, and your will needs to be notarized. I mean, we did my mom's. We printed it all out, and we filled it all out, and then we just had the lawyer notarize it. So someplace I have a couple of cards of people, and I might have to send that to you, who do that in the area. And, you have advanced, what do they call them? Advanced care planning and so on. And so you have, different things that you can do, but those are the things that you want to make sure you have done ahead of time.
Yeah.
And then, talk about death and dying and what it is you want and figure that all out. That's how I feel. That's what the chain of events that I would suggest to somebody.
I agree.
Yeah. Thank you.
Let's play some games. My games now.
Oh, okay.
I like yours. So for everybody, and since this was a two-part, some of these questions go back to the massage part stuff, but I ask a whole bunch of trivia questions to everybody.
Jeez, you do that. I forgot about this part.
So, who famously said anyone wishing to study medicine must master the art of massage?
Oh, that was Galen. Wasn't that Galen?
Hippocrates.
Oh, okay.
Is who I, but probably more
Galen,
recently.
Galen did have, yeah.
So you use laser with the massage, and it's a great tool. But if a laser travels at the speed of light for 1 year, how far does it get?
I have no idea.
It's the light year. It's 5.88 trillion miles.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yep. All right. This one should be a good one. How many fascial layers are there in the body?
Oh, I only know of 2.
Okay. What do you got?
I just have the superficial layer and then the deep layer.
Yep. So some people say 3, superficial, deep, and visceral.
Well, yeah, I was going to say the organs are held together.
And then some other people describe 5 layers, which includes epimysial surrounding the muscle, and then periosteal surrounding the bones as well.
Well, see, we say your
But
deep
that's
fascia
deep.
is
Yeah.
the one
Yeah.
next to your
But
periosteal,
yeah,
but that makes sense.
superficial and deep.
Yeah,
The organs are deep, man.
yeah,
Get in there.
right.
How many parts are in a medical laser?
How many parts? Serious? That's not my job.
So the
My
reason
job's
I
just
say
a
it,
laser.
right, exactly. So the reason I say it is because it's infrared energy.
Right.
And I use infrared lights, but I use lights and shine them on you. Lasers are very honed in and
Yeah.
very specific.
Yeah.
So I'm a nerd from science standpoint. So
Obviously.
you have to have something that emits the laser.
Okay.
You have something that's a diode to excite the medium around it.
Right.
Then you have to have mirrors that amplify it. Then you have to have a cooling system to keep it from overheating. Then you have to have the optics or the handpiece to make it go where you want to go.
So that's 5 or 6?
Yeah, five
Okay.
parts, and it's crazy the amount of stuff you need to make that, but then how powerful it is as a tool when you use it.
Oh, that's
So-
probably the one thing that changed my whole career.
Have you heard of Kubler-Ross and the death and dying
Yes.
model?
Yes.
What are the 5 stages of death and dying?
Oh, gosh. There's anger.
Mm-hmm.
I know acceptance is last.
Mm-hmm.
Anger, sadness. I don't know.
Depression.
Depression. I need 2 more.
Mm-hmm. Very first one.
Oh, it's not anger.
Nope.
Oh, I don't know.
What do you do before you get angry? You deny it.
Oh, that's
Denial.
true. Denial.
And then what do religious
Yeah.
people try to do?
Make sense of it. I don't
Try
know.
to bargain.
Yeah, bargain.
So
Yeah.
denial, anger, bargaining,
I
depression,
guess I should know
acceptance.
that, huh?
No, because you're just going to let it all
I
go
mean,
right to acceptance.
I
skip over all
I
those
mean, I know
things.
there's
Yeah.
grief. I mean, the grief is denial. I think is where everybody is right now, and that's why I can't get people to
Yeah.
let me talk.
Yeah. But and again, even if they don't want to go through the thought of dying, all the prep stuff
Right.
needs to be done. Someone has to bring that up.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry you don't like it. It's uncomfortable for you. And it's uncomfortable for people who are getting close to that point. But it doesn't mean you get to ignore stuff.
Right.
That's just stupid,
Right. Right.
my opinion.
And that's why I did do like the death deck. I had a group at my office, and we did the death deck. We had about, I don't know, like 15, 18 people. And they had a lot of fun. And there was one woman, she didn't want to come.
Yeah.
And I had met her at an event where it was all hospice companies, and and I went, and people would come by my table, and they were like, death doula, and they'd keep on walking. I'm like, take my card. Like, just
you're
look
going to
at-
need it,
Yeah.
denier.
Yeah, right?
You need 2.
Exactly. So it's like I just want to make it as lighthearted. So I figured I'd get the game,
Yeah.
and we do the game, and I still can't get anywhere.
Yeah. Don't worry. People will start listening. It's coming.
I-
You're ahead of your time, but not by much. Not by much.
Nobody says that.
All right. So we kind of talked about this with the death deck. According to most world religions, what's the most common explanation as to what happens when we die?
Most common,
Mm-hmm.
heaven and hell, I would say.
There's the
Is it
soul or
Christian?
consciousness continues to exist in some form.
The way
So
I
some
feel.
kind of
yeah.
some kind of afterlife.
Yeah. I do believe.
How many people in the world believe in reincarnation? They're usually followers of Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, and indigenous faiths or New Age and spiritual
I
beliefs.
believe that. I've been here many times. I do. I don't know, 20, 30%, 40%.
So yeah, you're probably about right, because it was at 1.4 billion. So I
Okay.
figure we're between 7 and 9 billion. So yeah,
Okay.
probably like 2 to 3%, or 20 to
20.
30%.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's.
What percentage of the U.S. population believes in reincarnation?
Oh, I don't know.
They say about 25 to 30%,
Mm,
with more of those under 30 believing in it.
yeah. I mean, there's different modalities. Like, you can do a past life regression,
Mm-hmm.
and I've done it. There's quantum healing, hypnosis therapy, QHHT. I've done that.
What kind of answers did you find, or what
Oh,
did you
it was
get?
interesting. It was very interesting. So the one that I remember the most, I worked with a guy in Summers Point, and Ed Smith, if I can say that.
Sure.
And he starts out by asking, what are on your feet? And I thought that was a very interesting way, once he's got you basically hypnotized. And at this one point, I was like, there's nothing on my feet, but my feet are dirty and they're dark. And I remembered myself with this big afro, and I was in the yogi squat position and with a mortar and pestle, and I'm like literally making
some
something concoction. And there's like a line of like people outside of my hut.
You're the medicine woman.
And I was like, oh my God, that totally fits.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting when you talk about, reincarnation, because a lot of, even some of the Christian religions, it's like, how, and I'm going to say it, how can Jesus come back and we can't? We are all made in, we are all made in,
Well, even if you just do the anatomic thing, the atoms have to get recycled. They don't just break apart and disappear.
Right.
They have to get put back together.
Right.
What if they're holding memory?
I believe they are.
Now you're made of not just one, but gazillions of other atoms that used to be part of some other consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah. I do believe in reincarnation. That is one thing that I do believe in.
I don't see consciousness. Like, I don't remember what I was before.
Right.
So it's hard for me to say, well, I was that before. Then I would hold on to some sort of
probably
consciousness.
In that other 90% of your brain.
But it's going to be somewhere in there that I can't access it.
You can't access it.
Duh.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think this is a good time to split out, and you shared a lot of information. It's all positive. It's all good, even about a topic that's very uncomfortable for, I would say, 99% of people to even start up.
Yeah.
And you make it so comfortable. That is so huge and so important and so needed in this world.
Thank you.
And that's why I'm glad we did this, and I'm glad we made a whole separate part for this. Because again, the massage part that you do is fantastic and amazing, and using the medical knowledge and understanding the way the body is built, to then understand how the body is supposed to end. Yeah. It all fits with you so perfectly. And I'm glad you thought to bring out the crystals and the cards. I want to keep playing the cards.
Right.
And may have to get some myself to make myself a little more understanding.
Yeah.
And so if anybody would like to talk to Theresa about it, she's got a great little pamphlet that's got some great little information in it, all kinds of stuff. So there, where you are. So tell everybody where you are so they can get to you.
Well, I usually have people email me. My email is Theresa.ASoulsJourneyDoula@yahoo.com. That's not on this card. And I would come to you. We would call, we can talk on the phone, we could do a Zoom, but eventually I would like to come to you. And so all my work as a doula is in your home, or if you're comfortable with me in your home. If not, we can meet at a restaurant, or if you're in assisted living or wherever you are, I'll come to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So, my work with hospice, was a lot of volunteer work, but I really would love to do this more as my career as I'm getting older. Massage, I teach medical massage, I teach continuing education, but, there's going to be a time that I'm not going to be able to massage.
Physically, it's hard to do.
But this is really where my heart is, and this, my heart is always in my office.
Sure.
I love my clients, and I love helping them, and my one client calls me a PI. Body PI, she calls me. She's like, you find everything. I don't even know what hurts there, and you find it. But with this is more of like my soul. I can feel in my heart that if I can help people die more peacefully and help their families, with their grief, that would be, to me, the way I would want to end my life. And go through the end of my life. So.
And if assisted living facilities or 55 and over communities wanted to have you come and do a talk, would you be able to do that?
Oh, absolutely. I've been wanting to do that more and more. I had a senior center that is pretty big in the area, and I went to talk to them, and they didn't want to talk about death and dying. So I'm like,
Yeah.
well, maybe if we do the death deck and we do something fun,
Yeah.
or we do a legacy project. Like I have a legacy project that I do that has some questions, and you write this letter. Maybe we just do that. And then if people have questions, they can ask.
Exactly. And that might be an easier foot in the door for bigger places that don't want to upset anybody because that's their emotional baggage that they think is going to happen with it. But again, not providing the information is almost negligent on their part to say, look, these people who live here need these services.
Yeah.
And if you're not offering them, then shame on you.
Yeah. Let me
shame
do
on
it.
you.
Yeah. So,
Great.
perfect.
Well, thank you so much. It was great to have you. Again, feel at peace after talking to you, even though we didn't do anything for my own death and dying. But
well, yeah, we did. We got some information.
I'll be going home and looking at my will.
It's a good thing to do.
So you can check out Theresa for massage from our first part of the podcast that kind of ended abruptly, or you can give her an email, and we'll post all those links at the bottom here in our descriptions, like everybody else says. It's in the description. So that you can get in touch with her for any of your needs. And thanks again for watching. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Grady. Thank you. And here's